The death of CATNAP has become one of the most unexpected events, not so much because of the fact of his death, but because of the death at the hands of his own master. Why did Prototype kill CATNAP, his most powerful follower, the most loyal in the code? Motivated by creating a whole cult around the Prototype and annihilating those who were not just against it, but also those who didn't support it. We're not talking about employees who were supposed to be victims by default. After all, they created all these monsters, conducted horrific experiments, and ultimately, these experiments led to their demise. Strange as it may sound, CATNAP, the monster who destroyed other monsters, shared some similarities with Prototype. Yet the question remains, why did Prototype kill CATNAP? And why kill other monsters at all? Isn't that betrayal? And betrayal from the main villain, at least for now, as presented to us, is attributed to Prototype, responsible for all the troubles that happened in the Playtime company. However, things aren't as straightforward as they seem. Perhaps the employees themselves are no better than these monsters. After all, let me remind you once again, it was the people from the Playtime company who created all these monsters, most likely including Prototype. So why don't we all come to the conclusion that Prototype is actually good and wanted to stop this monstrous machine of the company? But the scene at the end of the 3rd chapter even refutes this theory, and it's quite beautiful, by the way. The disappearance of Huggy Wuggy, I think, should be the starting point. It's the first death of an antagonist, and until the 3rd chapter, everyone was wondering, and some still are, where did Huggy Wuggy disappear to? Well, he fell. The disappearance of Huggy Wuggy is where it all begins. We saw in the 2nd chapter hairs and blood leading into a pipe, as if it was a hint that Huggy was alive. But most likely Prototype dragged Huggy's body, leaving behind traces of blood and hair. I dare to suggest that this is Prototype's first victim. Huggy Wuggy became part of another organism, essentially becoming a part of the Prototype. This conclusion can be drawn from the ending of the 2nd chapter when the antagonist, playing the role of Mommy Longlegs, directly told us that he would make her a part of himself. Who is he? There he is, taking the fruits of our labor for the 2nd time. We kill the monster. The Prototype takes its body or part of it, all to make it a part of himself, as Mommy said. Why the Prototype needs this remains a mystery for now. Perhaps he is building himself a new body. He is hardly gathering monsters to revive them. Otherwise, Mommy would have said so, and she would not have worried about her death because sooner or later the good Prototype would come and save everyone. But that won't happen because the Prototype gathers monsters to make them a part of himself. I think he took not only Huggy Wuggy and Mommy, but also captured a couple of monsters, all from the same 2nd chapter. Little Huggies, the Bunny Bunzo, and in the 3rd chapter, it could well have been Miss Delight. The Prototype could also have used her body for himself, although we didn't see him dragging her away. But if we didn't see it, it doesn't mean it didn't happen. We understand that the Prototype could have done this. And finally, it's CATNAP's turn. But why would the Prototype kill his most powerful and loyal henchman? CATNAP sincerely believes in the Prototype. He believes. For the cat, the Prototype is not just some ally or boss. The Prototype is God. The cat built him a whole altar to which he came to pray, as if he knew for sure that the Prototype could hear him and would protect him in case of trouble. But why is CATNAP so fanatical about the Prototype? We already know. When he was not yet a monster but a little boy named Theodore Grenbell, he already had a connection with the Prototype. It was the Prototype who tried to help Theodore escape from the shelter, and Theodore remembered him as a friend. And after they turned the boy into a monster, he began to appeal to his savior. The company's employees didn't understand what was happening. CATNAP was going mad.
Okay, this is CATNAP, experiment number 1188. What's his real name again? Okay. Hey, Theo. How you doing, bud? Normally I'd have Dr. Sawyer do this, but he's, out, let's say. So you got me until they find his replacement. First off, congrats. This is officially your 4th year in your new body, and you've made some real progress, pal. I was told that when you and the other smiling critters, dogday, Piggy, yada 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 were added into Playcare, that you weren't really getting along too well with the kids like everybody else was. But look at you now. The kids love you, and that bred smoke. I mean, that's fantastic, isn't it? Is his, voice thingy still broken?
The prototype will save us.
Theo, nobody's gonna save you. This prison is where you belong. We'll let you out here and there to go see the kids in Playcare, but your home is here. And as for the prototype, his home is in the labs. This is your life now.
In this tape, we learn that the cat was kept locked up for quite a long time, about 4 years. And some unknown scientist on the tape directly tells him that his home is a prison. And the most interesting thing is that he addresses the cat by name, by his real name, Theodore. The terrible conditions, the unbearable experiments can perfectly explain the hostility of the monsters towards people. That's why, among the rioting monsters, we see Kissy Missy. But unlike the others, we don't see her eating anyone, while other monsters attack people and eat them. We clearly see this on the recording, and Kissy Missy simply scatters those who were around her and runs away. It's an interesting clue, and the mastermind behind all this is indeed the prototype, who actually freed all the monsters. CATNAP was not just under the influence of the prototype like other monsters. He was obsessed with it long before the so-called Hour of Joy. The cat talked about how the prototype would come and save everyone, and it happened, reinforcing his belief in his god. Now, no one will dare to doubt the power of the prototype, but the prototype himself is quite clever, and for him, the Hour of Joy is just a part of some grand plan that we don't yet know about. Therefore, all the monsters are just pawns that later become his personal possessions or, in principle, a part of the prototype. What's interesting is that CATNAP acted in a similar way. He got rid of those he didn't like and intimidated others, forcing them either not to interfere in his affairs or to submit to him. Miss Delight was the only surviving monster who opposed CATNAP, if we don't count Dogday, who was already dying. Miss Delight made herself a weapon, and the school became a real fortress for her against CATNAP. And since neither CATNAP nor Miss Delight could kill each other, they made a truce. CATNAP used the little smiling creatures as his henchmen, and the prototype used the cat itself. But in the end, he kills him. What was it? Betrayal? This monster is no longer needed by the prototype. But why didn't the prototype kill him immediately after the Hour of Joy? Or was he waiting for CATNAP to finish off all the smiling creatures, perhaps until he eventually reached Miss Delight? But we did that. And in the end, only he remained as the last specimen for the prototype in the Playcare location. And perhaps when the prototype himself appeared at the end, CATNAP realized that his time had come, that he had lost the battle with the player, and the cat could have sacrificed himself to make his master stronger. He reaches out to his master as if asking, "Daddy, take me. I know you've come for me."
After all, the cat didn't die when we hit him with electricity, and he burned from his own gas. He could have attacked us again, so what stopped him? It turns out that perhaps the prototype saved us just in time, as he intended, and he dragged the monster's last body from Playcare with him, as if the entire third chapter, along with the first and second, were one big plan of the prototype, which is unfolding according to his script. And CATNAP could have known about it. He sacrificed himself for his master so that the prototype could continue with his plan and become stronger, making CATNAP a part of himself.
Now, what do you think? Why does the prototype still kill the monsters? Write your opinion, your theories in the comments.